Shavutav, Shalom on the Sabbath day. Welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies. Today is the 25th day of the second month of the year 5781 on the sacred or Yahuwah's calendar. It's the 22nd day of May on 2021 on the Gregorian calendar. And on the Omer count to Shavuot, or Pentecost, it is the 35th day, and it's the 5th, 7th day Sabbath of the month. So again, welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies. And we are all ready to do another expository teaching on this Sabbath day of the book of Ezekiel. We're in part 5. We're going to start in chapter 24, and we're going to continue in our expository teaching. So we're going to go about an hour, and it's about 9:45 here in Stoneford, Illinois at the Philadelphia Assemblies. And we're going to go ahead and turn to the east where the temple was and where it's prophesied to be again, and we're going to open in prayer towards Jerusalem. Almighty Father Yahuwah, we praise you in all things. Father, we praise you for this Sabbath day, for this 5th Sabbath in your Feast of Weeks, for the 35th day of that Omer count going to the day of Shavuot. And we asked again that you would give us more understanding in all areas of your word. Father, open our eyes and our hearts. Empower us through your Ruach to have understanding, Father. Write it in our minds and in our hearts. We ask again that you would inspire us today as we go to your book of Ezekiel. And we ask that you would teach us through that prophet and through his words. We ask all these things, as well as your healing power to be upon those that are sick and on those that have lost loved ones. Father, we ask that you give them the peace that passes understanding, and we praise you in all things. We praise you for your hedge of protection that's been around us and that continues around us, and we ask that you would bless us with continued health. And again, we ask all these things in your precious Son, Yahushua's name. Amen. So, chapter 24 of the book of Ezekiel, we're just going to go ahead and get started. Again, in the 9th year, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, unto Ezekiel. And the word of Yahuwah is his Ruach HaKadosh. That's what teaches us all things, that Malach of Yahuwah. Okay? He is a messenger of Yahuwah. He is this Ruach, or spirit of Yahuwah, and he's the one that brings and gives us understanding. And he's the one that came to Ezekiel the prophet and all the prophets. And here's what he said to Ezekiel: Son of man, write you the name of the day, even this same day the king of Babylon set himself against Jerusalem this same day. And utter a parable unto the rebellious house, and say unto them, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, set on a pot, set it on, and also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it, even every good piece, and thigh, and the shoulder, fill it with the choice bones. Take a choice of the flock, and burn also the bones under it, and make it boil well, and let them boil the bones of it therein, or in it. Wherefore, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah. Okay? Woe unto the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it, for her blood is in the midst of her. She set it upon the top of the rock. She poured it not upon the ground to cover it with dust, that it might cause fury to come up to take vengeance. I have set her blood upon the top of the rock, that it should not be covered. Therefore, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, woe to the bloody city, talking about Jerusalem, and this is talking about his people that dwell in Jerusalem. I will even make the pile for a fire great, or for a great fire. Talking about those in Jerusalem. Heap on wood, kindle the fire, cook the flesh, and spice it well, and let the bones be burned. Then set it empty upon the coals thereof, that the brass of it may be hot and may burn, and that the filthiness of it might be molten in it, that the scum of it may be consumed or burned away, destroyed. Verse 12, she hath wearied herself with immorality. I'll get the right word there, I'm sorry. Talking about Israel, his betrothed or his wife. Okay? Could have been translated lies, but immorality is the more correct. And her great scum went not forth out of her. Her scum shall be in the fire. So as you see something, it builds a scum on top, and this is what this is talking about, and this is what boils out. Not forth of her, her scum shall be in the fire, because that's where he's going to end it up. Okay? In your filthiness is immorality, because I have purged you, and you were not purged. You shall not be purged from your filthiness anymore. Talking about Israel as he cuts off the southern tribes now, or Yehudim. Till I have caused my fury to rest upon you. I, Yahuwah, have spoken it. It shall come to pass, and I will do it. I will not go back, neither will I spare, neither will I repent or relent or let up. According to your ways and according to your own doings shall they judge you. Talking about the nations around her, saith Adonai Yahuwah. Also the word of Yahuwah, or obviously the spokesman of Yahuwah, or the Malach of Yahuwah, came unto me, saying, Son of man, behold, I take away from you the delight of your eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shall you mourn nor weep, neither shall your tears run down. Groan silently, make no mourning for the dead. Bind the turban, of their own head upon you, and put on your shoes upon your feet, and cover not your lips, and eat not the bread of men. So I spake unto the people. So Ezekiel spoke what Yahuwah had told him to the people in the morning, and at even, or when the sun went down, my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded. And the people said unto me, Will you not tell us what these things are to us, that you do so? Then I answered them, the word of Yahuwah, or again the Malach of Yahuwah, or the Ruach of Yahuwah, came unto me, saying, notice, came unto him, saying, Speak unto the house of Israel, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Behold, I will profane my sanctuary, the excellency of your strength, the desire of your eyes, talking about the temple, and that which your life delights. And your sons and your daughters, whom you have left, shall fall by the sword. And you shall do as I have done. You shall not cover your lips, nor eat the bread of men. And your turbans, shall be upon your heads, and your shoes upon your feet. You shall not mourn nor weep, but you shall pine, or have strong emotional feelings, pine away for your lawlessness or your iniquities or your sins, and mourn one toward another. Thus Ezekiel, this is in red here, so this is thus saith Yahuwah, thus Ezekiel is unto you a sign, according to all that he has done shall you do, and when this comes, you shall know that I am Adonai Yahuwah. Also you, son of man, speaking directly to Ezekiel, shall it not be in the day when I take from them their strength, the joy of their glory, the desire of their eyes, and that whereupon they set their minds, their sons and their daughters, that he may escape in the day shall come unto you, to cause you to hear it with your ears. In that day shall your mouth be opened to him which is escaped, and you shall speak and be no more dumb. And you shall be a sign unto them, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Chapter 25. And I'm adding again here, the word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against the Amorites, and prophesy against them. And say unto the Amorites, Hear the word of Adonai Yahuwah. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because you said, against my sanctuary, when it was profaned, and against the land of Israel when it was desolate, and Israel when it was desolate, and against the house of Yehudah when they went into captivity. Behold, therefore, I will deliver you, the Amorites, to the men of the east for a possession, and they shall set their palaces in you, in their domain, in their area, and make their dwellings in you. In other words, in that land, the land of the Amorites. They shall eat your fruit, and they shall drink your milk. And I will make Reba a stable for camels, and the Amorites a resting place for flocks. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah. For thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because you has clapped your hands and stomped your feet with your feet, or stamped with your feet, and rejoiced in your heart with all your scorn against the land of Israel. Behold, therefore, I will stretch out my hand, which is his ruach, upon you, his power, and will deliver you for a spoil or a plunder to the nations. And I will cut you off from the people, and I will cause you to perish out of the countries. I will destroy you, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah. And again, I'm adding again here, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because that Moab, and the Moabites, and Seir do say, Behold, the house of Yehudah is like unto all the nations. Got heathen in the King James, but same word as nations, it won't be any different. Verse 9, Therefore, behold, I will open the side of Moab from its cities which are in its frontiers, the glory of the country of Beth Yeshimoth, Baal Meon, and Carithium. And I probably slaughtered those pronunciations, forgive me. Unto the men of the east with the Amorites, and will give them in possession, that the Amorites may not be remembered among the nations. Same word as they translated earlier as heathens, or heathen, singular up there. Okay, in verse 8. Verse 11, And I will execute judgments upon Moab, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Thus saith, or this also I can say, saith Adonai Yahuwah, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Yehudah by taking vengeance, and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, I will stretch out my hand, or his ruach, his power, upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate. From Teman, and they of from Dedan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Adonai Yahuwah. Verse 15, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because the Philistines have dealt by revenge, and have taken vengeance with despiteful hearts, to destroy it from old enmity or hatred, Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I will stretch out my hand upon the Philistines, or Philistines, whichever way. And again, this is talking about his Ruach, his power, and I will cut off the Chethims, and destroy the remnant of the sea coast, those that live on the coast. Verse 17, and I will execute great vengeance upon them with fury, rebukes, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. Chapter 26. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, it's always the word of Yahuwah came unto me, and this is talking about his Malach, okay, his messenger. Verse 2, Son of man, because that Tyrus hath said against Jerusalem, she is broken, that was the gate of the people. She is turned unto me. I shall be filled now. She is laid waste. See their whole reasoning and everything. It wasn't that they knew that they had turned against Yahuwah. It's so that they could have what Israel had when they were blessed. They think they can take it now. Verse 3. Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I am against you, O Tyrus, and will cause many nations to come up against you, as the sea causes his waves to come up. And they shall destroy the walls of Tyrus and break down her towers. I will also scrape her dust from her, and make her like a top of a rock. It shall be a place for the spreading of nets in the midst of the sea, for I have spoken it, saith Adonai Yahuwah, and it shall become a plunder or spoil to the nations. And her daughters which are in the field shall be slain by the sword, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. For thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I will bring upon Tyrus Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, a king of kings from the north, with horses and chariots, and with horsemen and companies, and much more, and much people, or very many people. Verse 8, he shall slay with the sword your daughters in the field, and he shall make a fort against you, and cast a mount against you. Or, in other words, make attack mounds against you, and lift up the shield against you. And he shall set engines of war against your walls, and with his axes he shall break down your towers. By reason of abundance of his horses, their dust shall cover you like waves shall shake at the noise of the horsemen, and of the wheels, and of the chariots, when he shall enter into your gates, as men enter into a city wherein is made a breach. With the hooves of his horses shall he tread down all your streets. He shall slay your people by the sword, and your strong garrison shall go down to the ground. And they shall make plunder of your riches, and make a prey of your merchandise. In other words, he's going to take everything you have, and they shall break down your walls and destroy your fine houses, and they shall lay your stones and your timber and your dust in the midst of the water. And I will cause the noise of your songs to cease, and the sound of your harps shall be no more heard. Per Revelation 18 verse 22. And I will make you like a top of a rock. You shall be a place to spread nets upon. You shall be built no more. For I, Yahuwah, have spoken it, saith Adonai Yahuwah. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah to Tyrus. Shall not, this is a question, shall not the coastlines shake at the sound of your fall, when the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of you? Verse 16, then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put off their embroidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground and shall tremble at every moment and be astonished at you. And they shall take up a lamentation or a cry for you and say to you, how are you destroyed? That was inhabited of seafaring men, the renowned city which was strong in the sea, she and her inhabitants with cause their terror to be on all that lived there. Now shall the coastlands tremble in the day of your fall. Yes, the coastline that are in the sea shall be troubled at your departure. For thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, when I shall make you a desolate city like the cities that are not inhabited, when I bring up the deep upon you, and great waters shall cover you. When I shall bring you down with them and descend into the pit, or Sheol, the grave, with the people of old time, and shall set these in the low parts of the earth, in the places desolate of old, with them that go down to the pit, or the grave, that you be not inhabited, and I shall set glory in the land of the living. Because again, a living dog is better than a dead lion. Verse 21, I will make you a terror, and you shall be no more. Though you be sought or looked for, yet shall you never be found again, saith Adonai Yahuwah. Chapter 27. And the word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, now you, son of man, take up a lamentation or cry for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, O you that are situated at the entry of the sea, which are a merchant of the people for many coastlands. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, O Tyrus, you have said, I am of perfect beauty. Your borders are in the midst of the sea. Your builders have pitched your beauty. They have made all the shipboards of fir trees of Sinar. They have taken cedars from Lebanon to make mast for you. Of the oaks of Bashan have they made you oars. The company of the Asherites have made your benches of ivory. Brought out the coasts, or the coastlands of Chittim. Fine linen with embroidered work from Egypt was covering which you spread forth to be your sail. Blue and purple from the coast of Elisha was that which cover you. The inhabitants of Zidon and Arvad were your mariners. Your wise men, O Tyrus, that were in you were your pilots, the ancients of Gabal, and the wise men thereof were in you your caulkers, sealers of the ship. All the ships of the sea with their mariners were in you to barter in your merchandise. They of Persia and of Lud and of Phut were in thine army, your men of war. They hanged a shield and helmet in you. They set forth your comeliness. The men of Arvad with your army were upon your walls round about, and the Gammadims were in your towers. They hung their shields upon your walls round about, or all over. They have made your beauty perfect. Tarshish was the merchant, by reason of the multitude of all kind of riches, with silver, iron, tin, and lead. They traded in their fairs. Yavin, Tubal, and Meshech, they were your merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in your market. They of the house of Togar Torgama, traded in your fairs with horses and horsemen and mules. The men of Dedan were your merchants. Many coastlands were the merchandise of your hand. They brought you for a present horns of ivory and ebony. Syria was your merchant by reason of multitude of your goods, of your making. They occupied in your fairs with emeralds, purple, and embroidered work, and fine linen, and coral, and rubies. Yehuda and the land of Israel, they were your merchants. They traded in your market wheat of Minnith, and Panag, and honey, and oil, and resin. Damascus was your merchant in the multitude of wares of your making, of the multitude of all riches, in wine of Helbon and white wool. Dan also and Yavin, going to and fro, bartered your wares. Bright iron, casus, and calamus were your merchandise. Dedan was your merchant in precious, in saddle cloths or saddle blankets for chariots. Arabia and all the princes of Kedar, they were your customers in lambs and rams and goats, and those were they your merchants. The merchants of Sheba and Ramah, they were your merchants. They occupied in your fairs with the chief of all spices, or all the major spices, and with all precious stones and gold. Haran and Chanah and Eden, the merchants of Sheba, Ashar, and Chilmad were your merchants. These were your merchants in all sorts or choice garments, in blue clothes and embroidered work, and in chests of rich apparel, bound with cords and made of cedar among your merchandise. Now this is all in red. This is all thus saith Yahuwah. The ships of Tarshish did sing of you in your market, and you were replenished and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Your oarsmen have brought you into great waters. The east wind hath broken you in the midst of the sea. Your riches and your fairs, your merchandise, your mariners, and your pilots, your caulkers, and your occupiers of your merchandise, or dealers of your merchandise, and all your men of war that are in you, and in all your company which is in the midst of you, shall fall into the midst of the sea in the day of the ruin of your ruin. Your pasture land shall shake at the sound of the cry of your pilots, and all that handle the oar, the mariners and all the pilots of the sea shall come down from their ships. They shall stand upon the land, and shall cause their voice to be heard against you, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast up dust upon your heads. They shall wallow themselves in the ashes, per Revelation 18:19. And they shall make themselves utterly bald for you, and gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for you with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing or crying. And in their wailing or crying they shall take up a lamentation for you, and laminate over you, cry, saying, what city is like Taurus, the one destroyed in the midst of the sea? When your wares went forth out of the sea, you filled many people, you did enrichen the kings of the earth with the multitude of your riches and your merchandise. In the time when you shall be broken by the seas in the depths of the waters. Your merchandise and all your company in the midst of you shall fall. All the inhabitants of the coastlands shall be astonished at you, and their kings shall be horribly afraid. They shall be troubled in their countenance. The merchants among the people shall hiss at you, or scoff at you, though you shall be a terror and never shall be any more. He's speaking of the destruction of these nations. Again, Revelation chapter 18, 11 through 15 is talking about the same thing. Chapter 28, the word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, in other words, of the Ruach or the Malach of Yahuwah came to Ezekiel again, saying, Son of man, this is all in red from here on again, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because your heart is full of pride, and you have said, I am El, or a mighty one. I sit in the seat of Elohim in the midst of the sea, yet you are a man and not El, or not a mighty one. Though you set your heart as the heart of Elohim, behold, you are wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from you. With your wisdom and with your understanding, you have gotten all your riches, and have gotten gold and silver unto your treasury. But your great wisdom by your trade have you increased your riches, and your heart is full of pride because of your riches. Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because you have set your heart as the heart of Elohim, put yourself in the place of Elohim, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon you, the ruthless of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom, and they shall defile your brightness or your glory. Okay? They shall bring you down to the grave or to the pit, and you shall die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the sea. Will you yet say before me that slays you, I am Elohim? But you shall be a man and no Elohim in the hand of him that slays you. You shall die the deaths of the ungodly or the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, saith Adonai Yahuwah. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a crying or lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You have been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was your covering. The ruby, the topaz, and the diamond, and the beryl, and the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, the carbuncle, the gold, the workmanship of your settings and of your pipes were prepared in you in the day that you were created. You are the anointed cherub that covers, and I have set you so. You wast upon the holy mountain of Elohim. You hast walked up and down in the midst of the stone of fires. You were perfect in your ways from the day that you were created till unrighteousness was found in you. By the multitude of your, or by the abundance of your trade, they have filled the midst of you with violence, and you have sinned. Therefore I will cast you as a profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I will destroy you, a covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Guess who he's talking about? But your heart was lifted up because of the beauty of your beauty. You has corrupted yourself, your wisdom, corrupted your wisdom by reason of your glory, or your brightness. I will cast you to the ground. You know, it's just talking about casting down Satan, or Ha-Satan. I will lay you before kings, that you may they may behold you. This is talking about in the end of days. You have defiled your sanctuaries by the multitude of your iniquities, by the dishonest trade. Therefore will I bring forth a fire from the midst of you. It shall devour you, and I will bring you to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold you or look upon you. And they that know you among the people shall be astonished at you. You shall be a terror, and never shall you be any more. Again the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Zidon, and prophesy against it, and say, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Behold, I am against you, O Zidon, and I will be glorified or honored in the midst of you, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be set apart in her. In other words, made holy or sanctified in her. For I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by war upon her on every side, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. And there shall be no more painful briar unto the house of Israel, nor any grief, nor any grieving thorn of all that are round about them that despise them, and they shall know that I am Adonai Yahuwah. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, and they are set apart in them in the sight of the nations, then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Jacob. Now he's talking about in the millennial reign here. He's going to set them apart, and these other ones are going to give them their glory. And they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses and plant vineyards. Yes, they shall dwell within with confidence when I have executed judgments upon all those that despise them round about them. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah their Elohim. Chapter 29. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, in the 12th day of the month, the word of Yahuwah, or the Malach of Yahuwah, came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him, and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Behold, I am against you, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, the great dragon that lies in the midst of his rivers, which has said, In my river is my own, and I have made it for myself. But I will put hooks in your jaws, and I will cause the flesh of your rivers, I will cause the fish of your rivers to stick unto your scales. And I will bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish of your rivers shall stick unto your scales. And I will leave you thrown into the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. You shall fall upon the open fields. You shall not be brought together nor gathered. I have given you for food to the beasts of the field and to the fowls of the Shamayim. And all the inhabitants of Egypt shall know that I am Yahuwah, because they have been weak support to the house of Israel. When they took hold of you by your hand, you did break and tear all their shoulder, and when they leaned upon you, you broke, and made all your loins to be at a stand. Therefore, thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I will bring a sword upon you, and cut off man and beast out of you, and the land of Egypt shall be desolate and waste, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah, because he hath said, the river is mine, and I have made it. Behold, therefore, I am against you, and against your rivers, and I will make the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate, from the tower of Sicene, even unto the border of Ethiopia. No foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast shall pass through it, neither shall it be inhabited 40 years. That hadn't happened yet, has it? And I will make the land of Egypt desolate in the midst of the countries that are empty, and her cities among the cities that are laid waste shall be desolate 40 years, and I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and will disperse them through the countries. Yet thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, at the end of 40 years I will gather the Egyptians from the people where they were scattered, and I will bring them back to return into the land of Parthros, unto the land of their habitation, and they shall be there a lowly kingdom. It shall be the base or the lowest of kingdoms, neither shall it exalt itself any more above the nations, for I will diminish them, that they shall no more rule over the nations. And that's pretty much been that way ever since Alexander the Great broke them down, but not completely fulfilled to that, but that they didn't rule over the nations anymore. And it shall be no more the confidence of the house of Israel, which brings their lawlessness to remembrance, when they shall look after them. But they shall know, Egypt shall know, that I am Adonai Yahuwah. And it came to pass in the 27th year, in the first month, in the first day of the month, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, caused his army to serve a great service against Tyrus. Every head was made bald, and every shoulder was peeled. Yet had he no reward, nor his army, for Tyrus, for the service that he had served against it. Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, behold, I will give the land of Egypt unto Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he shall take her multitude, and take her spoil, and take her prey, and it shall be the wages for his army. I have given him the land of Egypt for his effort or labor, wherewith he served against it. Because they work for me, saith Adonai Yahuwah, in that day will I cause the strength of the house of Israel to bud forth, and I will give you the opening of the mouth in the midst of them, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Okay? Chapter 30. And the word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, talking about to Ezekiel, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, howl you and wail forth the day. For the day is near, even the day of Yahuwah is near, a cloudy day. It shall be the time of the nations. Okay? Time of the Gentiles. Time of the nations. And the sound shall come upon Egypt, and great anguish shall be in Ethiopia, when the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude and her foundations shall be broken down. Ethiopia and Libya and Lydia and all the mingled people, and the Chub and the men of the land that is in league shall fall with them by the sword. Thus saith Yahuwah, they also that uphold Egypt shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down from the tower of Syene. I probably pronounced that wrong. Shall they fall in it by the sword, saith Adonai Yahuwah. And they shall be empty in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are waste. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I have set a fire in Egypt, and when all her helpers shall be destroyed. In that day shall malachim, or messengers, or angels, same word in Hebrew, go forth from me in ships to make the complacent Ethiopians afraid, and great pain shall come upon them as in the day of Egypt. For behold, it comes. Okay? Now, when it uses the word messengers, little m here, it could very well be talking about men, okay? But malachim or malachim, because it's people or spirits that have messages from Yahuwah. So in that day shall malachim or messengers go forth from me, don't have to come out of the Shamayim, in ships to make the complacent Ethiopians afraid, and great pain shall come upon them as in the day of Egypt, for behold, it comes. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, he and his people with him. The most ruthless of the nations shall be brought to destroy the land, and they shall draw their sword against Egypt, and fill the land with the slain. And I will make the rivers dry, and sell the land into the hand of the wicked, and I will make the land waste, and all that is therein, or in them, by the hand of strangers. I, Yahuwah, have spoken it. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, I will also destroy the idols, things they worship, and I will cause their images to cease out of Noph, okay, or Memphis. Noph or Memphis, that's the more correct English translation is Memphis. And there shall be no more a prince of the land of Egypt, and I will put a dread in the land of Egypt, and I will make Parthos empty, and I will set fire in Zoan, and will execute judgment in No, or Thebes. And I will pour my fury upon Pelisum, translated sin in the King James, the strength of Egypt, and I will destroy the strength of Egypt, and I will destroy the multitude of Thebes. And I will set fire in Egypt, okay, and then it says, Pelisum shall have great pain, and Thebes shall be torn asunder. Probably messed that up, but anyway, and Thebes shall have her distresses daily. Verse 17, the young men of Avon and Pi-beseth shall fall by the sword, and these cities shall go into captivity. At Tehaphanes also the day shall be darkened, when I shall break thee the yoke of Egypt, and the pomp of her strength shall cease in her. As for her, a cloud shall cover her, and her daughters shall go into captivity. Thus will I execute judgment in Egypt, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. So obviously it wasn't just Israel that went into captivity in Babylon. And it came to pass, this is thus saith Ezekiel, and it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first month, in the 7th day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and behold, it shall not be bound up to be healed, to put a roller to bind it, to make it strong to hold the sword. Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, Behold, I am against Pharaoh king of Egypt, and I will break his arms, the strong, and that which was broken, and I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, just like he did Israel, and will disperse them through the countries. And he did that through King Alexander the Great, the conqueror. That's how he did that. And I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon. And after that, then the Greeks came in and took over their kingdom and took their place. And that's why you see light-skinned Egyptians today and not black. And put my sword in his hand, but I will break Pharaoh's arms, and he shall groan before him with the groanings of mortality, or mortally wounded, of a mortally wounded man. That's correct. Verse 25, But I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon, and the arms of Pharaoh shall fall down. They did that from Nebuchadnezzar. They did it later, and the final time, as far as Egypt being a world power, happened through, as I said, Alexander the Great. And they shall know that I am Yahuwah when I shall put my sword into the hand of the king of Babylon at this time, and he shall stretch it upon the land of Egypt, and I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations and disperse them among the countries, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. And that happened then, and it happened ultimately again to Egypt with Alexander the Great some years later. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, and to his multitude, who are you like in your greatness. Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with shadowing shroud, and of an high stature. And his top was among the thick boughs. In other words, his height was among the thick boughs. The waters made him great. The deep set him up on high with her rivers, running round about its plants, and set out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore its height was exalted above all trees of the field, and its boughs were multiplied, and its branches became long because of the multitude of waters, as it spread out in them. All the fowls of the Shamayim made their nest in its boughs, and under its branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young, and under its shadow dwelt all great nations. Thus was he fair in its greatness, in the length of its branches, for its root was by the great waters. The cedars in the garden of Elohim could not hide him. The fir trees were not like its boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like its branches, nor any tree in the garden of Elohim was like unto it in its beauty. I have made him fair by multitude of its branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Elohim envied him. Therefore thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, because you have lifted up yourself in stature, and he hath shot up its top among the thick boughs, and its heart is haughty up in its height. I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the nations, which is Nebuchadnezzar at this time. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out of his wickedness, and foreigners, tyrants of the nations have cut him off, and have left him upon the mountains, and in all the valleys its branches are fallen, and its boughs are broken up by all the rivers of the land, and all the people of the earth are gone down from its shadow and have lifted him. Upon its ruin shall all the fowls of the Shamayim remain, and all the beasts of the field shall be upon the branches, to the end that none of all the trees by the waters exalt themselves for their height, neither shall shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height, all that drink water, for they are delivered unto death to the lower parts of the earth, in the midst of the Ben, or the sons of men, with them that go down to the grave. Thus saith Adonai Yahuwah, in the day when he went down to the grave, I caused all mourning, I covered the subterranean for him, and I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed, and I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. And I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, and when I cast him down to the grave, not to hell, but to Sheol, the grave, with them that descended into the grave, or the pit, Sheol, and all the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, and all that drink water shall be consoled in the lower parts of the earth. They also went down into the grave, Sheol, with him, and to them that be slain with the sword, and they that were his arm, strength, that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the nations, to whom art you thus you like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Question mark. To whom art you like in glory and in the greatness among the trees of Eden? In other words, how do we get that comparison? Yet shall you be brought down with the trees of Eden unto the lower parts of the earth. You shall lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, saith Adonai Yahuwah. We're going to stop part 5 right there. Stop part 5 right there. And let's see, let me look where we started and see, so I can write this down. Right here, part 5, started with 24. Through 31. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you like this expository teaching. Share the videos and hit that notification bell. And again, may Yahuwah bless until we meet again.